suddenly brought to life when I met you. Reaching beyond the skies, running deep, stretching wide. Perfect love realized, here with you. Now this love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, and it's more than just words, love beyond my control, out of control. This is real love, this is real love. This is real love, this is real love. This love is for real, you will never let go, never let go. Oh, and it's more than just words, love beyond my control, out of control. You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart to the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love, this is real love. Oh. Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you.
Are we in the room? So we are live. So to give you guys a heads up, I know some of y'all are in here. That could be a totally different night, but we're going to go ahead and jump into things to get started for no matter who's in the room. We are live, so if you are joining with us tonight, thank you so much for being with us. Just a couple things real quick that we do have coming up. It is the first of the year, so this is the first service of the year, and we will continue to do things like we've been doing as far as our social distancing as much as possible, mask and all that stuff. When you're up and about, when you're seated, you don't have to wear your mask. When you're in worship, you don't have to wear your mask. When you're in a small group, you don't have to wear your mask. That's up to you if you guys want to do that. You be cautious, what you feel like is best for you. You guys can wear them as much as you like. We just recommend that you require them, that you wear them when you're out and about. So with that, we are starting a new series. We do have some things that are coming up. Before we jump into our series, we do have some things in January 24th of this month. That is a Sunday, is a believer's baptism. So if you've not been baptized, I know you hear this a lot. If you're watching with us as well, if you have not been baptized, it is a believer's baptism on that Sunday. I encourage you, if you are a follower of Jesus, have given your life to Christ, or if you become a follower of Jesus between now and January 24th or 25th and would like to be baptized, that Sunday is for you. And actually on the 25th, there is going to be a worship and testimony night plus baptism. So if you got saved or whatever, and you want to be baptized also on that Monday night, and you just want to show up and get baptized, you can do that as well. But the 24th is believers' baptism at all three services. So that is very cool. Also, with our series and everything that we're doing, each series we have the opportunity that you guys have. How many have the Bible app? Anybody have the YouVersion? The Bible app? My watch is talking to me. I wasn't talking to you. He said hello. The Bible app, YouVersion Bible app. If you actually go to that, which is our series is called Vibes, and you actually go in there and just search Vibes, it'll pull up actually like a 28-day devotional. So something you have to follow along for the next few weeks of our series. So the middle schoolers have one. It's called Moods. They can do that. But with high school, if you want to follow along, you want a daily devotion that something's going on with our series, just search Vibes in your Bible app, and it'll actually pull up a devotional there, which is pretty cool, and you can download that. If you don't have the Bible app, I encourage you to get it. It's really cool to have. There's all kinds of devotions in there. You can search for just about anything, any kind of things you may be dealing with, things that you would love to have a devotion on. There's through the Bible in a year type things. So we're going to jump in tonight, and I'm going to let the lights go out, and our series is Vibes tonight. About emotions. So it's the next several weeks, we're going to be talking about emotions in our life. And so the series is Vibes. One other thing I do want to have an aspect to be looking for this coming out. We're putting together, as the best we can try to make this happen, a ski trip, hopefully in February. Last year, late February, we went on a ski trip. Like 50 of us went. So be looking for more details as we get those things together. We would love to do another ski trip. We don't know if we can do an all-nighter, overnight type deal like we did last year, or you guys have always done in the past. So right now in Minnesota, the regulations will not allow us to do that there in Bemidji. So we're looking that if we do something just for a day to let you guys know. So that is coming up. We want to do a ski trip and keep that going. So we're going to try to figure out how to make that happen. So we're talking about emotions. We're talking about things in life. We're talking about, when I say the word control, what comes to mind? When you think of the word, there's regulations. There's even like the teachers at school, like when you go to the bathroom, when you can't go to the bathroom, when you can do this. So it's all the time we feel like there's these things that control. And with that control, it begins to emit emotions. It begins to cause us to respond. I think most of us would agree we don't love the idea of being under someone's control or being told what to do. The thing is, we all want to do what we want to do when we want to do it, right? I mean, we love that fact. We love the aspect of freedom. We love the concept of, like, I want to be able to do what I want to do, especially at your guys' age right now. I understand that. I understand that with having a teenage daughter and a teenage son, wanting that freedom to go here and do this, not really saying, hey, call me. Even now, my daughter's 22 years old, our son's 28 years old. Even still now, when they flew home after Christmas, tell us when you land. Let us know when you get there. Tell us when you're taking off. Let us know how things are going. You know, they had their flight got canceled from Dallas to home because of snow. Actually, in Texas, there was 12 inches of snow that fell in Texas. We haven't got that much here, but it happened there for some reason. But he had to drive home in a snowstorm, and so we were constantly not trying to control, but just like, let us know what's happening. But even still now, we want that freedom. We want that sense like nobody's controlling us or telling us what to do. The thing is, we probably never say it this way, but all of us are controlled in some way or another by our emotions, by our moods, by our vibes. There's things that have a control on us. Some of the things sometimes we don't really like. Our reaction to certain things, our emotions can sometimes get the best of us. If you've ever been around young kids or little children, you know it to be true by the fact of if a child's got a cookie or a toy or something, take it away from them and see how they react. See if they like it. Tell them what to do. Tell them to do this. Little kids do not like to be told what to do, and they react in that way. But it's not just true for kids. It's also true for teenagers. It's true for adults. None of us like the fact of like being told what to do. I think many of us have probably allowed our emotions to get the best of us. Maybe you can remember a time where you responded and it wasn't the best way. Maybe you responded because of your emotions, because of the situation. and you didn't respond the best way. Or maybe you've seen other people do it. Maybe you've seen your parents respond, whether it's in traffic or in situations, or maybe even discussion as a family. Maybe there's a time you remembered you have a discussion or an argument with your parents or whatever, and maybe you said something before you actually thought about it, and your mouth got you in trouble really quick. Next thing you know, you find yourself grounded. You look because the thing is that the emotion of anger took over. Maybe you said some pretty terrible things about another person because jealousy took over. And you look back and think, what was I doing? That doesn't even sound like me. Have you ever had those times, those moments where you've done something and go, man, why did I respond that way? Why did I react that way? Why did I act that way? You kind of look back, you have that hindsight of going, man, I can't believe I acted that way. I responded that way. That's your emotion. That's that control aspect that sometimes we have to look at and say, how do I get a control on that? How do I not respond that way? Sometimes our emotions take control, and when that happens, we don't always make the best decisions. In fact, before we go any further, I want you to take a minute and think of a negative emotion that has the most control of you. What is it in your life that you look at and you can say right now, thinking about, I'm quick-tempered, or this or that? What things in your life, what emotion shows up the most often, sometimes without you even realizing it? Is it anger? Is it, maybe it's anxiety. Maybe you're just constantly worrying about things. Is it jealousy? Is it a feeling of loneliness? Is it guilt? Man, the thing is, the list could go on and on and on with emotions and feelings that we have. And those are the things that we have to look and go, what is it on that list? What it is in your list that you feel like sometimes just comes out of nowhere? It's like that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type moment. One minute you're this, the next minute you respond, and it's like, bam, you're biting somebody's head off. Like, why did I respond that way? It's the things we don't like. It's the things we don't want to be like. The thing we can always monitor our emotions. We can always look at things and say, well, when I'm at home, I react this way because it's with family. And usually with family, I take family for granted. And usually I'm a little bit more quick-tempered with my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister. I react quicker with them. But yet when I'm around other people, if I'm at my friend's house, I don't act that way. I can kind of monitor it a little bit. Or if I'm at school, I don't react the way I would with a teacher. You may want to. You may have that teacher you want to just knock their teeth down their throat, but you don't. You control it. You kind of monitor. You're like, but you don't allow that emotion to take over. You're able to keep it in check. You're able to keep a check on it. But monitoring is not the solution. There's got to be a better way. What if there was a solution that went beyond just trying to control it, just trying to monitor the way we feel, the way we react? The thing I love about Jesus is that so much of what he teaches is helpful for everyone. Whether you consider yourself a Christian or not, this topic is one of those areas. He invites people to do something that goes way beyond just monitoring our emotions. The cool thing is that if what he says is true, then it has the potential to make us free. And freedom is what we desire. Freedom from the things that control us is really what we're after. If you don't want to be controlled by anyone or anything, including our emotions, it seems like Jesus is offering a solution to that. He's offering a solution to the fact that you don't have to be controlled by the way we react to things. We don't have to let our emotions control us, whether it's sadness or anger or being mad or whatever it might be. We have to be in that place to know that Jesus helps us walk through that. There's a story in Mark chapter 7, verses 5. It was here that Jesus was with his disciples, and these Pharisees and religious leaders of the law asked Jesus a question. So he asked this question, he says, why don't your disciples live according to the tradition of the elders instead of eating their food with defiled hands? So in other words, what they're asking is, why don't your disciples wash their hands? Which is pretty kind of nasty in the first place. I mean, most people don't sit down. Now we have hand wash stations everywhere you go. You get a squirt here, squirt there, stuff that's nasty. Some of it feels slimy, some of it stinks. You get it on your hands and you're trying to find somewhere else to wash it. But here this question was, why don't they wash their hands? But it wasn't a question about really physically washing their hand. It was a traditional law. It was this thing that was word of mouth type thing. So there were so many laws back in that day. You had the Ten Commandments, you had the written laws, like 150 written laws, and then you had these verbal laws, kind of like wash your hands, do this, don't, all these little bitty things. But all these religious leaders, these Pharisees, were trying to catch Jesus in something. To like, why ain't your disciples washing their hands? It's kind of ridiculous. You ought to make them wash their hands. Why aren't they doing everything else? And they weren't caught up in the fact that their hands were dirty. It was a different perspective. It was bigger than hygiene. The Pharisees were bothered because of what it meant religiously. Their little tradition, this little religious act. It wasn't something that it was about the hygiene. They were accusing Jesus of breaking the law of the elders, which was a law that was passed down by word of mouth. So it was one of those laws that was by word of mouth, but it was so much more than that. It was the fact of trying to catch Jesus in something. So Jesus answers in sort of a genius way. Instead of coming for them directly, he quotes the prophet Isaiah. And Jesus has a way of kind of just laying the slap down sometimes. Jesus don't mess around. He don't play. He'll read your mail before you ever open it. He kind of knows what's going on. Well, he knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly what you're thinking. He knows exactly what you're walking through. And he knew exactly what these Pharisees were all about, these teachers were all about. It wasn't about the importance of them washing their hands. It was this little verbal rule, so to say. So Jesus says this, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites. As it is written, that these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain, and their teaching are merely human rules. So first of all, Jesus right off the bat is like, you hypocrites. He's like, bam, boom, right off. He's like, Isaiah was right when he's talking about you hypocrites, the way you're acting, the way you're trying to be judgmental, the way you're trying to pass down a law that means nothing, that has no merit whatsoever. It was totally clear what Jesus was getting at. He sums up this way. You have let go of the commands of God and are holding on to human traditions. In other words, Jesus is saying, you're not trying to lead people closer to God. You're looking to make power plays that keep you in charge and keep other people under your control. And that's not the way that God works. So the Pharisees were always about themselves. They were always about their power, about their control, about their laws, about their unwritten rules, so to say. So the Pharisees were always trying to keep people in lock and step. Their goal was to always say, well, how can we keep somebody under our thumb? How can we hold the power? And the fact that they see Jesus and who he is and the freedom that he was bringing, they didn't like that because it didn't coincide with their law, their unwritten rule. It didn't mesh together with what they wanted to do. They were losing control. People were finding freedom because of what Jesus was doing. But Jesus isn't done. He says this, listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside of a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them. So meaning the fact that the disciples didn't wash their hands doesn't make God mad at them. God is bigger and better than that. He's talking about what comes out of a person's mouth. It's the saying of what goes in comes out. It's not saying what was on the outside defiles you. It's not what you eat or what you're taking in. It's what comes out of your heart. It's what comes out of your life. It's that biology moment, understanding you're going to either go out this way or out the other way, biologically thinking whatever you eat. Eventually it's going to come out somewhere. But regurgitating, it's like a mother bird. It eats something and it goes to feed the baby. What does it do? It like regurgitates what comes in to give it nourishment. And the same thing is with God's words and who God is in our life. Are we allowing that when it comes in our life? Are we regurgitating back up God's word, which sounds kind of weird. But what goes in is eventually going to come out. And if we're putting God's words in, it's what defiles us that comes out. So it becomes a matter of the heart. It becomes an issue not of law and rule, but a matter of what's in our life and what emotions are leading us, what's guiding us, what's pushing us, what's directing us. This is what Jesus said. For it is written, out of a person's heart that evil thoughts come. For it is from within and out of a person's heart that evil thoughts come. So out of a person's heart that evil thoughts come. Do you hear that? Out of a person's heart, evil thoughts come. Oh, the devil made me think that. That's just Satan, man. That's just Satan's thoughts. Satan's doing this. So it's saying from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come. And it goes on to say this. Those thoughts that come, It's a huge list here. They're not up on the screen. It's sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. So all these things, he gives a list of the sin, the issue that comes when you have those thoughts, when you're dealing with emotions. It's something that's not what you're just thinking on. It's what's in your heart. It's what we're dealing with. And how do we deal with those things? How do we deal with the matter of the heart? How do we learn to do a procedure on our life that says we want to cut these things out of our life? I don't want to be this person. I'm not happy when I respond the way I do. When I talk to my brother this way, or talk to my mom this way, or talk to my teacher, or think of my coach, or I want to snap back. I want to say things, or I say things under my breath when I think nobody's listening, but God hears you. And I guarantee you every single one of you are guilty. And when you walk away from mom or dad, and you roll your eyes, and you say something under your breath, or you just whisper it to yourself, and maybe a few words you shouldn't say, and you don't say them out loud, you're just kind of thinking them, and you think, ah. But it's a reaction that we have to look at and goes, am I happy being that person? Am I happy that that emotion is there? How am I dealing with that? How am I dealing with these things? The last word it says is a word called folly. A lot of us, we don't ever hear that word. It's just folly. It sounds like something from the 50s or something, 40s, or it's like this old word, folly. If you say it like that, even makes it sound older. But folly is actually, it's just bad judgment. And your greatest regrets with friends and family were the result of bad judgment. Anytime you look back and think, how could I have been so stupid? Why did I do such a thing or say something like that? That's what folly is. And Jesus is saying all that stuff starts in your thoughts and your emotion. And he cares about what could happen as a result of it. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about our emotions. We're going to be talking through the process. We're going to be paying more attention to the world inside of ourselves. Trying to form a habit of telling ourselves that it doesn't have to control us anymore. Maybe it controlled us in the past. We let it lead us toward making mistakes and hurting others. The thing is, we don't have to be that type of person. We don't have to give power to our emotions. So we're starting a new thing, first Wednesday night of the year. I don't know if you as a family ever sit down. Do any of you ever sit down as a family and do like resolutions? Does anybody do that? Did anybody do personal resolutions? Anybody? Not one single person in the room. Nobody's like, what is a resolution? So it's making a new commitment. It's making a statement, a promise, so to say, that, hey, I'm going to get in better shape. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to actually study at school. I'm going to get straight A's. I'm going to read, a devotion every morning. I'm going to read some books. Whatever. I'm going to pass high school this year. I want to graduate. Hopefully we walk across the state, whatever, if you're a senior. So all these things you want to have as commitments or resolutions. We've done it as a family for years and years where we sit down and make a list of things in our life. So we're in that place of saying, what commitment, what are you going to do as we walk through this new year that you're saying, I choose, we have this date. We can write some things down and say, I don't want to be this person carrying it into the new year. I don't want to carry the same things into the new year. I want to be somebody different. I don't want my emotions to constantly affect me, to control me. And that's a big thing. That's something we all have to work on. I have worked on it, my whole life of emotions. On that list of things a while ago, anger. Man, used to have such bad anger issues. Would snap. In high school, I was so angry all the time. So angry, young and married, angry at just stupid stuff for no reason. No reason at all. But all of a sudden, as I got older, I began to understand there was result of those things was from things in my past, things I was always trying to have to prove myself to be so much better because of the abuse as I was younger, as a child, the abuse that I walked through, the abuse that I faced for 5 and 6 years with a stepfather that physically, verbally abused us, day in and day out. And so I had these things that were in my life that I had to deal with, learn how to forgive people, learn how to forgive somebody that doesn't even know he's been forgiven. I've had to forgive a man that I will never probably ever see again. I don't know if he's even alive. But I've had to learn to forgive him, and he doesn't even know I forgave him because I have no idea where he's at. But I've had to learn to walk in that process, to not allow that emotion to affect me where I infect my children. See, what we allow to affect us can infect. somebody else. What we carry with you, what you choose to carry with you your whole life, if you choose to allow emotions, not only are they affecting you, but they're infecting somebody else. They're infecting somebody else. And if you carry that through your whole life, eventually, if you have those things, all of a sudden you look down and people are like, man, why's my child? And your parents may go, yeah, you're going to reap what you sow. I hope your children act just like you. And I don't know if your mom or dad has ever told you that. When you have children, I hope your kids act just like you. You're like, what does that mean? Because I'm like an angel. I'm perfect. I'm like the best kid ever. I've never done anything bad. It's usually if your parents have told you that, then there's something that's happened along the lines like, hope your kid acts just like you. But I look and I see things in my life where I've been affected my kids. And those are regrets that I have. The anger that I had for years and years and didn't deal with it for a long time and finally got forgiveness and grace and mercy through that. I can see those things in my daughter. I can see her reactions. And I go, you're acting just like me. Stop it. You're responding just like your dad. Stop it. Now it's like I've infected her because of things and how I used to react and how she would see me react. So we're all guilty of those things. And how do we deal with it? How do we go through these next few weeks dealing with our emotions? The thing is, emotions aren't always bad, but emotions are part of being human. And they help us figure out what's right, what's wrong around us. But when they control us and make us do things we don't want to do, then our emotions aren't helpful anymore. They become out of control. We have to get a hold on our emotions because, and I want you to remember one simple truth. Because of Jesus, emotions don't have to be the boss of you. They don't have to be the boss of you. I want you to think of this little sound. You have to be the boss of you. Have you ever heard somebody, you ain't the boss of me. You ain't the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do. If you have a little brother or sister, you ain't the boss of me. You don't tell me what to do, especially when they get like 3 or 4 years older than you and they get closer to your age. And now you guys are hanging out more and more and you try to tell them, like mom has left you in control or dad's left you in charge at home. You ain't the boss of me. You don't tell me what to do. And you're, well, I will show you I'm the boss. And you have to control it. But you have to understand, those saying it may sound silly, but I want you to think that thought. You ain't got to say it out loud. Is what are you going to tell in your life that you're not the boss of me? You're going to tell anger you're not the boss of me, even if I have the right to be angry. You got to tell anger you're not the boss of me. Jealousy you're not the boss of me. Regret and envy and all these things, fear you're not the boss of me. Even if I'm nervous, what people think of me, nervous to show up, nervous about failing, nervous to try, fear, you don't get to decide what I do next. All these things we have to look, all these different emotions we got to put in check and say you're not the boss of me. Don't let it control you. It's one of those things we've got to learn now to begin to put those things into check. So 2 things I want you to try. Is try to think of the top 1 or 2 emotions that you have the hardest time controlling. What are those things in your life? What is it? Is it, like we've already said, anger, fear, insecurity, jealousy, greed, anxiety? What's the one emotion that no matter how hard you try, it keeps coming back? Maybe it's not even on this list. It's on a different list that you have. But what is it? Second thing is start checking in with yourself. So begin asking yourself this week, asking yourself at the end of the day, how did your day go? How did you do start from the finish? How did you do from the morning to the end? How did you allow some emotions and why did you react that way? How do you make a checklist and say, these are the things I have to put in check? These are the areas I got to put in check. This thing popped up, this is how I reacted. My friend said this and I felt like this. I wanted to say this, or maybe I did say this, or maybe I did respond this way. What are those things that you're saying I'm going to put in check? Check in throughout the week. Thing is, God did not create us not to feel. He gave us feelings. Feeling is good, even the difficult stuff. But the thing is, we just have to figure out what to do next. Jesus says this, and the thing is, he's a way better boss about it, and he should be our boss. When we come to him as a follower, we make him Lord and Savior. We're saying, God, you're the boss of our life. And he does so much better with our feelings. But in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus said, come to me, all you are weary and burdened, I will give you rest. So he's showing you he can help you with your emotions and help you find rest in him. Another time, Jesus said, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. Jesus, in the midst of that, is saying, I will help you walk through your emotions. I will help you walk through your fears, your anxiety, your depression, how you're feeling now. I want to help you walk through that. I will give you rest. I will be your peace if you will just let him. In other words, Jesus is a way better boss than any vibe or emotion we feel. He's worth listening to when it comes to how we handle the emotions we have. And if you follow him, you'll find out for yourself. Remember, because of Jesus, emotions don't have to be the boss of you. Think about it this way. How different would your home look if other people in your family didn't let their emotions control them? How different would it look in your house if everybody's emotions were in check? Or if your parents' emotions were in check, or your brothers? How would it look? What would it be different if they didn't allow their emotions to control them? Maybe if your mom didn't let fear control her, or your dad didn't let anger control him, or your stepbrother didn't let jealousy control him. On and on. What things, how would it look different? How different would it be? How different would it be? I'm saying I'm guessing it would look a lot different. I know looking, like I said, in my life, what it would look totally different if all these emotions didn't control us. So I want you to know that you can lean into Jesus. You can trust in Jesus that he will give you peace. In the midst of being in his presence, he gives you peace. If you're having emotions and you're having things and your stuff, you may be like, dude, all the stuff you're talking about right now, I reacted this way today, I did this today, all this, maybe certain things. Maybe even being in this room tonight, you're like, shut up. Your emotion, this, whatever it may be, how are you responding to that? How are you letting it? How can you be different? How will it be different? That's why we encourage you when you're in your small groups, man. You have leaders and people and friends and pastors and parents. Allow them to help you walk through this. Don't keep things bottled up. Don't keep things within, but talk to people. Let people help you walk through the process of how you deal with this. This is how I've been feeling. This is what I'm walking through. This is how I can help you through this process. So we're getting ready to step into worship in just a moment. Our middle schoolers are outside. They're going to come in, and the room's going to get emotional. But we, in our worship, we're not just controlled by it's not an emotional time. It's like, the emotional goosebumps. But it's meant to be this deeper moment, opportunity of connecting and communing with God and being in a place where we're allowing God to love on us and you to love on him and be in his presence. So you guys stand with us tonight in the room as middle schoolers are coming in. So if you're online with us, we're getting ready to jump into worship tonight. Middle schoolers, as you guys come in, stand with us. Everybody, high school, you guys stand with us. We're getting ready to go to worship. And I'm excited that we get to worship together the first Wednesday of the year. Let something be different in the way you worship. Let something be different in the way you worship tonight. We've talked about this a lot of times, about our worship and how being in that place where God's able to speak to us and we're able to have that time with God I've said this many, many times as we've talked about being in the place of worship. It's surrendering yourselves to God. It's surrendering this time to God. It's surrendering ourselves to God. It's an intimate place. It's an intimate place. You guys stand with us over here. Everybody stand, everybody stand. It's an intimate place. That's what it's meant to be. So intimacy is one-on-one, and that's between you and God. It's not meant for everybody else in your circle to be like, come. No, it's like, I want to focus on God for the next few minutes. I want to focus on my relationship with him. And high schoolers, as we've talked about what we talked about tonight, allow those things. Take those things to God. Those things, that top list, this is the time right now to surrender those to God. Okay? It's not time to goof around and laugh and body check each other and all this kind of stuff. This is an opportunity right now to say, God, I give you this. I give you this stuff. I give you what I'm dealing with. And I place it in your hands. Guys, let's go ahead and go to worship tonight.
Hey guys, welcome back. How's everyone doing tonight? That's what I like to hear. My name's Ethan, and I'm really excited to be able to worship with you guys tonight. We'll be starting with a fairly new song, so just follow along best you can. And let's give God some praise tonight. There we go. We have overcome. We are purified. We are hidden in the wounds of Christ. He has paid the price. He has brought us near to behold the glory of the Lord. So we will not fear through the storm and through the flood. By your Spirit, by your blood, we will stand, we will stand. With a trumpet call, you will open up the sky. Come with glory and with might. We will be with the Lamb. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We will be with you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We will be with you. Though the storm may come, we are unashamed of the name above all other names. He's our victory. He's our joy and prize. He's the name above all other names. So we will not fear through the storm and through the flood. By your Spirit, by your blood, we will stand, we will stand. And with the trumpet call, you will open up the sky. Come with glory and with might. We will be with the Lamb. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We will be with you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We will be with you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We will be with you.
You make the darkness run and hide. You bring the broken back to life. Only you can, only you can. You set me free from every chain. You name. You left the glory of your throne to bring this runaway back home. Only you can, only you can. You give me love, you give me life, you keep me dancing through the night. Only you can, only you can. Only for your glory.
And you guys can have a seat.
Amen. Amen. Awesome job. You guys give them a hand for leading us tonight. Awesome job. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining with us tonight. If you're online with us, thank you so much. If you were with us, you can jump into your small group here in just a moment. So thank you so much again. Hey, at this time, our high school, you guys can be dismissed to go to your small groups. So some of those girls, high school girls, as you go down there, you're going to notice your room is a little bit different when you walk in. But enjoy tonight. Middle schoolers, move to the center, if you will. Thank you.